Hey guys, welcome to this video. Okay, I'm literally recording in photo booth right now, but I just need to apologize in advance for how many times I say the word like in this video. I tried to edit out as many as I could, and I just say it so many times. I don't know what was up with me this day that I filmed this, but it's really bad, and I apologize. So hopefully you can ignore that. I figured after I had such a good reading year last year, I'd kind of compile all of my like official 5-star reads into a video to give recommendations to you guys. So I feel like over the past few years, like since I started reading again in like 2020, I just started like every book was like a 5-star for me. So if you look at my Goodreads, probably more than this is going to be like as a 5-star. Every book I'm going to be showing you guys today is like I've thought about these books, like I always like think back to them, or I think about the characters in them or the storyline. Like there's just something about them that I just like think back to, and like it's for sure a 5-star read for me. So I've only had 2 so far this year, which like for me, like last year at this time I probably had like every book as a 5-star already. I've gotten more critical with my book reviews. Let's just get started. I think I'm gonna kind of go by genre a little bit. So I'm gonna start with like romance and like rom-com books because that is the biggest stack that I have here. Yeah, and this is like I said, this is like from 2020 on. Like when I was younger I read like The Hunger Games and Divergent, like Fault in Our Stars, and like those are probably like in my heart like 5 stars like from when I was younger, but these are just like my more recent 5-star certified books. Okay, now that I'm done over explaining, I think I'm gonna start with my most recent 5-star that I just finished reading the other day, and that is Just for the Summer by Abby Jimenez. This is her new book. It just came out literally a week ago. I read it in like what, 4 days? For me that's really good. So I like binged like half of this book in one day. It was so good. This is only the second book that I read by her. I know I'm kind of going out of order with her, like all of the books that she has out, but I definitely by the end of the year I'm hoping to like have all of her books read because they're just so good and like bingeable. Like you just sit down and read for a whole day. I love how her characters are so like well developed, and like they have a personality and like history, and just like I don't know how to explain it, but just like the things that the characters went through in this, it's just like, yeah. And there are trigger warnings in the front of it if you want like to make sure before you start reading, so she does have those in there because it does go into like some heavy topics. I don't know, I feel like that just obviously made the book better, and the ending, like I was scared at the end. I was like, what is about to happen? So it had me on the edge of my seat. Yeah, I will forever just like be picking up every one of her books from now on. So new favorite author of the year, because my first 5-star read of the year was yours truly, also by Abby Jimenez, and like I said, I know that there's like another book that actually comes before this, and then a lot of the characters from this are actually in this, so that was so fun. This is the only book I've ever tabbed and like annotated, because I've said it before and I'll say it again, amazing anxiety representation in this. And she also always has a dog in her books, so there's like dogs on the cover, so cute, and they're doctors. So I've never really read a book like that, like a romance set and like with doctors like in a hospital, I don't think. 5 stars, first 5-star books of the year, both by the same author. New favorite author found, clearly. Then my first 5-star book of last year was Icebreaker by Hannah Grace, and I don't have Wildfire in this list because thinking back to it, I love that book, but I think it's more of like a 4.75 for me. And obviously in that vlog, like I was like raving about it and it was so good, and it was so good, and I think I rated it 5 stars like after I finished it. I just think it wasn't as good as Icebreaker, but it still was like so good. Like I still love that one. But Icebreaker is just gonna do it for me every time. Like I feel like I know a book is 5 stars if I get done with it and I immediately want to reread it. Like I immediately wanted to pick this back up and restart. Also, this is like the indie version. I feel so cool having it because I ordered it before it was like traditionally published on Amazon. It's a hockey romance, if you can't tell. This book I feel like is kind of controversial to some people. Like, not controversial, but like you might not think it's a 5-star, but I don't know how to explain it. But it's so good. The romance is just like so sweet, and it's just like dealing with like college things, and I don't know. I feel like it was balanced really well with like the hockey and the figure skating, like not going too deep into it, but just like mentioning, oh, they're at practice or they're doing this without like getting boring. So that was interesting too. But yeah, I kind of want to reread this. I don't know. I feel like that got me into the world of like hockey romances. So definitely want to read more. But then we have my other, all of these are like auto by authors, by the way. Like I feel like that's another thing with 5 stars is like if I will buy every one of these authors' books like when they come out immediately, we have Love Theoretically, which is another kind of controversial one. I picked this back up, not back up, I picked this up 2022, and I thought about this one. I was like, do I want to include this one? And I'm gonna go with yeah, because I do think about these characters a lot. I don't know, it's like Ali Hazelwood's first book. It was like huge on Book Talk. I'm sorry, it's cute. Like, I enjoyed it. It was my first time reading like fake dating, so I think that really like also did it for me, because I was like, oh, that's like so cute, and like the tension and stuff. And just like the whole scientist thing was really like another interesting layer. And then my other book, I have rated all of her books 5 stars, but looking back, they're not really all 5 stars for me. The only other book that I have 5 stars from her is Love Theoretically. This is my favorite book by Ali Hazelwood, 100%. I absolutely loved the like rivalry between the physicists, like worlds, and like just, I don't know. And this was like actually another, I was worried about this one because it's also described as fake dating, and it kind of seemed like it was going to be a mixture of like this, or of this, and Love on the Brain, her other one. And I was like, oh god, she's just like repeat, like, no hate, but like I was like, oh, she's just kind of like repeating the same things over and over. The fake dating in this is like not what you expect. It's so good. Like, it's funny, her characters are funny, and just like another good one, another 5 star, obviously. And I'm so excited for, what's her new one called? Not in Love or something? I don't know. I'm excited for that one. I think I'm gonna make a video of like basically throughout the whole summer of just like reading new releases. So let me know if you guys want me to do that, because I will definitely do that. It's just obviously not going to come out till like the end of August, because I'm going to be like, it's going to be every single new release that I'm reading during the summer. So then I'm going to talk about one of my very first 5-star reads from when I started reading back in 2020. And this was also a big one, like I feel like not necessarily Book Talk, but just like I was seeing it everywhere. And that is Red, White, and Royal Blue. I love it so much I had to get the collector's edition. And there's actually, I bought this because there's a like extra chapter in the back, and I simply did not read that chapter. I still have not, because I was gonna reread the whole book before the movie came out, and then I never did. So I think I need to sit down and read this extra chapter once I'm done filming this, because I've had this book for a year and a half now. It's still a 5 star for me. I love the whole concept of like the first, or the president's son, and then the Prince of England like coming together in a romance. Also, there's like art in this one. It's beautiful. The movie, I will say, I didn't love as much as the book. I feel like it's so hard to beat a book with a movie, because there's so much detail in a book that you just can't have in a movie, or they just like mess up something, or they like make the scene weird. I don't know. Not the actors, but like the writers of the movie. I loved the actors in this. Anyways, I'm like going off. It's just, it's so good. And the president is a female in this book, so that was refreshing to read about. Love that book. Like, I will forever, like, that's my favorite book. And Casey McQuiston is another one of my auto-buy authors. And I have rated their other books in the past 5 stars. One Last Stop I absolutely love, but I don't think it holds up to Red, White, and Royal Blue. But I am looking forward to their new book in August, which will be part of that video that I was just talking about. So very excited for that one. That one looks like sounds so good. So I'm very excited for that. It's called The Pairing, and I'm not even 100% sure about the whole plot, but it sounds good from what I remember. So I need to talk about, probably if you ask me my favorite author, this would be the answer. Emily Henry. Her new book, literally, oh my god, it's a week. I think it's a week till her new, no, it's not. It's 2 weeks. It's 2 weeks. I got too excited. 2 weeks, oh, it's literally Wednesday. What am I saying? Okay, I kept thinking it was Tuesday. 2 weeks yesterday that I'm filming this until her new book comes out, and I literally cannot wait. Like, that's the best. I know Happy Place came out last April. That was the best part of my April. I don't know, it's so, her books are so good. So she has, well, she has more than 4 books, but in this like little romance world, because I didn't even realize that she had like other books besides these, but she does. But from what I've read of her, these are my 5 stars. I love People We Meet on Vacation, but looking back, I don't think I loved them as much as these, and I don't think about that couple as much as these, but maybe I just need to reread it and like see. I would love to like just sit down and reread all of her books, especially Beach Read. I think this summer I need to force myself to, yeah, definitely sit down and reread Beach Read. This one was so good. It's like authors that literally live next to each other, and they are challenged to write the kind of books that each other writes, because they both write different kind of books. I read this, I think, in 2021, so I'm a little fuzzy on everything that happens, which is why I want to reread it. But every time I like see a quote from it or people talk about it, I'm like, oh yeah, I love that book. Like, and I think about this couple so much, like January and Gus, like. And then this one I feel like a lot of people don't love as much, but it's book lovers. I love them. I love Charlie Lastra and Nora. Like, they're too good. She works in books and he works at a bookstore. Oh yeah, he's a book editor. And they both live in New York, and then they both end up in this small town. And that sounds so cheesy, but it works. And Emily Henry just makes it work so well. There's like that small town, like summery, like almost Hallmark movie aspect, but like in a non-cheesy, superficial way. And then of course we have Happy Place and the friend group in this, and just like the friendship and just like flashbacks in this are just so good. Sometimes I don't love a like then and now type of book, but she does it right with this. She just does it right, and she has you on the edge of your seat the whole time, like, will they, won't they? They broke up but they didn't tell their friends, so then they have to act like they're together in front of their friends, and it's just like waiting for them to find out. It's just so good. And also just this cover, like all of her covers are just so pretty, and the new one is purple. It's gonna be so good. I'm so excited. I'm definitely doing a reading vlog on that, so watch out for that. But yeah, so excited. Those are all of my 5-star romance books that I just love and think about all the time. Now I think I'm gonna talk about one of my other favorite genres. I feel like romance is my #1 favorite, and then I think thriller is probably my second favorite genre to read, and that is thriller. Yeah, I just said thriller, Jesus. Okay. But last year is when I really like fully got into reading thrillers and like fell in love. The Housemaid. This is a very basic like 5-star, and I was like, do I want to include it? Was it a 5-star? Yeah, because I read this in like basically a day-ish, day and a half. I zoomed through this. I binged read this, and it's very easy too because it's very fast moving, but there are some points where like not much is happening. I definitely didn't like guess the ending, and I feel like that's when you know a thriller is good, is when you can't guess like how it's gonna end. It's about this housemaid that goes to live with this family. And the thing is, she kind of has to live with them because otherwise she has to live in her car. Like, she's kind of homeless, so she has to, you know, be this live-in housemaid for this family. And the mom is just so like weird and strange, and like the husband and the daughter, like the family is so freaking weird. Then she realizes, it says it on the back, so this isn't a spoiler, but the attic that she lives in, the door locks from the outside. So you can see where that can go wrong. I did read The Housemaid's Secret. That one was good. I just feel like it didn't get me as much as The Housemaid did. And then there's also a new Housemaid book coming out, so that will be in my reading summer releases video. So I have also found my new favorite thriller author, which I've talked about him before, but Taylor Adams with The Last Word. I don't know, people were just, I don't know if this is like a new one, or when did this come out? 2023. Okay, so this was released last year, and I feel like a lot of people were talking about it kind of towards the end of the year. This is a thriller. This is a thriller mystery where it's not always like going, but this, as soon as you start reading, like you're on the edge of your seat, like the whole book, you're just like, I was just like, what's gonna happen next? Like I was thinking about it when I wasn't reading it. I was like, oh my god, I need to like go home and read this book. Like I just needed to know what happened next. And it's like, it keeps you like guessing literally till the very last page, and you're just like, what did I just read? Like I was like, what did I just read? So good. I think he only has 2 other books. Okay, yeah, I will be reading those. I wanted to read No Exit over spring break, but I just didn't find the time. But it's on Kindle Unlimited, so I will be sitting down and reading that probably, hopefully maybe this weekend, because I feel like I could read that in one day because it sounds so good. There's also a movie on it as well, so I'm excited for that because I feel like that would be a good movie. So this woman leaves a bad review on this book, and then basically the author leaves her like weird comments, and then she's also in this house alone because she's house sitting, and weird things start happening. Probably like that much of this book happens in the span of like a few hours at night, and so you can see why it just keeps you guessing. Like this takes place over, I want to say a few months, a month. You have some lulls, but this takes place over a few hours at one night. So much detail, but you're just constantly like, whoa, like it's crazy. I want to talk about my fantasy 5 stars. ACOTAR, I want to say is a 5-star series for me. Probably, I just didn't want to talk about it too much in this video because I've talked about it so much over the past year. My like 100% official 5-star read from that series is A Court of Wings and Ruin, which I feel like is not everyone's favorite. I feel like everyone's favorite is Court of Mist and Fury. There was just like more in this one that I loved. I low-key loved like the talking about like the politics and the war like strategy and like the whole war in this one. I can't talk about it too much obviously because it's the 3rd in a series, so if you haven't read it, I don't want to spoil anything. It was just very interesting. I don't know, it was really good. I read it in the summertime, which I felt like was a perfect time. So many things happen in this that like you're like, okay, where do we go now from this? And I don't know, I think it was definitely a 5-star from the series, but I feel like the whole series as a whole is a 5-star, even if not every single book is. The only other fantasy that I actually read last year was Fourth Wing, and this just, it had to be a 5-star for me because it gave me like almost the same feeling as when I read Divergent, and like it felt like kind of that whole world with like the learning how to fight and like the combat and like the going through training and then like discovering secrets about the world and like finding out this huge thing and like, whoa, where do we go from that? I'm actually currently reading Iron Flame. I'm like actively reading it because I know I've said it for the past few months. I'm like, I'm reading it, but I haven't really. I'm literally listening to an audiobook of it because I feel like every time I try to sit down and read it, I just can't. I literally have it up. Oh, well, okay, now it looks like I'm lying. You can see, I have it up right here. I'm listening to Iron Flame. The couple in this and just like I said, it's like almost, it's like Divergent vibes, but fantasy and with dragons. So I love the dragon aspect of it too. I think that is so fun. So far, not absolutely loving Iron Flame, but it's okay. These are my last 2 books, and this is my last auto-buy author that I will buy every single one of her books, and I need to read her backlist, but she just has so many books. I feel like, maybe it's not that many, but I feel like she has so many books on her backlist that I'm like, I don't even know where to start. But that is Taylor Jenkins Reid, and these are my official 5-star reads of her books that I read. Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, 100% 5-star. I loved it start to finish. Read it in like 2 or 3 days. I feel like that's another thing. If I read a book super fast, like it's a 5-star because I loved it so much to just like keep picking it up, and instead of going on my phone, like I'd rather read the book. So that's how you know. It's about this movie star who, as the name would suggest, has 7 husbands throughout her life, and she's telling her life story to this reporter. She talks about like the 7 husbands that she had, but then she also had this other like big secret that I'm not gonna spoil, but I'm sure you already know. And then this huge thing happens at the end that I low-key kind of guessed, but also it still took me by surprise. I was like, whoa, like I feel like I didn't fully guess it. But yeah, I loved it. I loved like the old Hollywood and like learning about her like growing up and coming on to like the movie sets, and it was just so good. And then I read Carrie Soto is Back last year. So these 2 plus Daisy Jones and Malibu Rising are kind of all interconnected by this one character, which I won't spoil, but this one character shows up in all these books and they're all kind of set at the same time. So Evelyn Hugo I think is set like farthest back, and then I think it goes Daisy Jones and then Malibu Rising and then Carrie Soto's Back like early, because this is like 1990s, and then Daisy Jones, I don't know, it just like goes, you know, farther back in this to the 1900s. This is about a tennis player, and I really enjoyed the tennis aspect of this. Like it made me want to play tennis. But this tennis player gets her record broken, and then she's like, well, I'm coming out of retirement to re-break my own, not her own record, but like the new record that was just set. And you know, so she like wants to, you know, she wants the title of this record, so she's like, well, guess I have to come out of retirement and like claim this record back. So it's like her retraining with her dad, who's her coach, and just like going through just different stages of life, because she's like fully an adult. She's like 30 something in this, and it's just very, yeah, 37. Wow. So she, yeah, and she comes back and she goes to all these, you know, the US Open and the Australian Open, and it just shows all of that, and it's very, it gets suspenseful at times, and you're like reading about the game, but to me it wasn't too boring. It wasn't like too much like sports because I'm not a huge sports person, but reading about tennis was very interesting. Like the only thing I knew about tennis before this was like what you learn when you play it on Wii Sports. And I feel like that's kind of what it sticks to on this too, is like just the basics of tennis. Like it doesn't go too much into it. And yeah, and just like her like as a woman in sports. Highly recommend any of these books I just talked about, any of these authors I just talked about. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know if any of these are also on your 5-star reads list, but these are my official 5-star reads as of April 10th, 2024. So hopefully we find lots more this year. I started reading the 7-Year Slip, and I am almost 100 pages in, and I'm like, that could be a contender for 5 stars. So we'll see. But yeah, I'll see you guys next week for another video. Bye.